He really made it work. And it looks like Hyped webcam's gone. That's an interesting picture.
Yeah, apparently Hyped is eating an ice cream cone. That's what I was told.
What a great choice for his still photo there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that
was the only picture we had of him for a long time until he started going to events and started getting his picture taken. Thankfully now we have something different, but
he streams now too.
We always said, Hype, you're not doing yourself any favors by having that picture.
Yeah, he wasn't generating any hype.
No,
that was weak.
Yeah.
That was really weak.
That's why I didn't go crazy.
I'm ashamed. I feel naked without my card. I misplaced it.
I think I have another card somewhere.
But it's empty. It doesn't have...
Oh, it doesn't have your notes. It doesn't have your notes.
Yeah.
Here you go.
All my puns. Thank you. Wow, I've just unlocked the secrets of Frodant's notes.
You want the secrets of my notes? You can show the camera if you want.
Frodant's notes. That's pretty incredible. They're actually written in invisible ink. As soon as we go into match...
You actually have to use the fire back there to light up the invisible.
As soon as we go into match, we actually dim the lights and put on a black light, just so nobody can peek at our notes if they have any like weird camera tricks with his glasses, like to use them as a mirror. So it's just a precaution.
So apparently we did have Hype disconnect for about a minute, but we'll get him back ASAP. So then coming into this second match, I think Zalae really is looking to try and pressure early. Last time he played as Druid, he had like a dream start. I think he had Innervate Shade into Coin Shade, and then he just destroyed Warrior. I think, was it Warrior?
I think that was actually Flybird who had that.
Oh, was it Flybird? Oh yeah, it was against Sixo.
Mm-hmm.
My apologies. But he's also playing a faster Druid, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a faster Druid, and it's this matchup is still hard for me to gauge. And I think you said it correctly earlier. Sometimes Druids can just put on so much pressure that you just feel overwhelmed, and you never really have opportunities to like gain back control of the game as the mage. But at the same time, there is times when Druids just don't draw into much early on. We saw Magic Amy earlier. She didn't draw into Wild Growth. Mm-hmm. She didn't get any ramp going. For the first 4 turns, all she was doing was hero powering. And when a mage can like set up like that and start getting their card draw engines going and really like draw into those key cards that are going to help them later on, then they have room to maneuver around the Druid. So I think that it's probably favored for Druid.
Okay.
But Hyped has brought his A game today.
Yeah, he's playing very well. Playing very well. Although I'm pretty sure Sabotage kills off Tyrion and destroys the weapon.
How sure?
I feel like that's a question for Ben Brode, because like you would ask him and then he'd answer it.
His answers are so underwhelming. Like he answers in the quickest way possible. Like you tweet at him and you say, will a combo Sabotage kill Tyrion and a weapon? Like all excited.
He'll say yes.
No, like and not even he won't even capitalize. Twitter automatically capitalizes when you tweet back. At least on the phone app, automatically capitalizes the first letter of your retweet. So Ben Brode, what he does is he goes back, deletes the capitalized letter, and then puts in a lowercase letter manually.
I don't think so.
Or he just tweets from a computer. That would be more likely.
That could be the case too.
But I like to think.
I don't think.
I like to think to fit his image of being the nonchalant.
You know a surprising a lot about the Twitter metagame.
It's just funny because I don't even tweet that much. I should tweet more. That's my 2015
Is that your 2015 resolution?
Yeah. To feel.
Not to like drink more water or exercise.
No.
To feel.
to feel and to tweet more.
All right.
And I guess feeling and tweeting more go hand in hand.
Sure. Well, this match is finally underway. Thanks for everybody who's bearing with us. There is a Innervate in hand, and that can help fix the curve, especially considering that there's a Spectre Knight, which is hard for Mage to deal with. But that's under normal circumstances. If Hype just puts out the Mad Scientist and coins out the Water Elemental, which almost seems high likelihood, Zalae still has to run into the big problem of how to deal with the minions efficiently.
Indeed. This is a tough choice. Whether or not to Innervate out a Spectral Knight or to just throw out a Shade. On one hand, you want to get the shades out as quick as possible. On the second hand, having the Spectral Knight out is a really big threat to a mage who has trouble removing it. Has its merits as well. This is going to mess up his curve for next turn, but putting that threat on the board is a hard thing to pass up.
Yeah, it might mess up the curve. It might not too. At the same time, you can't be too definite. And of course, Hyped has to be considerate of what secret he might get to, and that might affect the way he plays this turn. If he gets a duplicate, does he want the water elementals? Maybe he wants the sludge belchers. I'm not sure. But either way, he only has access to 4 mana at most this turn.
So how much would it actually change his play?
So if he gets Ice Block instead, I think you coin out the water elemental. If you get duplicate, I guess
you hold.
I guess you can make a case for just hero power passing, right?
You can make a case for it, but I think it's maybe playing a little bit too slowly and being too greedy on getting duplicates on Sludge Belcher. I think he realizes that he will most likely water elemental regardless.
Yeah.
So just not even getting the secret is the choice that he makes.
Well, it's just that it's all about lining out what target you want for the duplicate. Because Water Elemental is great, but Sludge Belcher is so effective against Druid because it stops a lot of their threats. It answers most of whatever minions they have. And overall, it's just a very strong minion to have. So, unfortunately, Hype doesn't have anything else to do that turn, short of Big Game Hunter, and that's just way too inferior.
And I like this choice just to go face here. Water Elemental's not really an option. You don't want to give him the opportunity to. You don't want to throw that Spectral Knight into Mad Scientist. You're wasting that power, and putting the mage on a clock is, I think, a big deal. Putting a lot of pressure on, especially with double Savage Roar in hand.
Yeah, that Spectral Knight is very problematic. Double Savage Roar is so scary. I mean, even if he just double Savage Roar next turn, how much is that? That's 7 plus 12 is 19 damage already.
Wow. Oh, and double Wrath here.
Yeah, it does stifle his development though, and Harrison Jones is the strongest in off matchups that doesn't have weapon classes on curve.
And if he double Wraths here to try and like clean out the board, he's got 3 cards in his hand, 2 being Savage Roar.
What is nice though is that it's still very hard for his opponent to deal with Spectral Knight.
Indeed.
But he's spending so many of the cards. He's essentially like all in on what this is. Like he's intending on trying to end what his opponent's doing just solely based off these 2 cards and whatever he's top decking.
Now at this stage, are you going to throw in the Mad Scientist?
I'm tempted. I'm very tempted to. It's hard because what if he has like another secret that's not it, and then you just gave up the Mad Scientist?
Yeah, I think it's good, but only because Ice Block is in his hand. I think if Ice Block wasn't in his hand, he wouldn't have gone for that play.
Because it's less likely Ice Block would.
Because it's less likely that Ice Block would be that secret. And is that what secret is that? Can we look?
We'll find out in a second.
Eventually.
This Lotheb is actually very important too. It's something that Zalae has to keep tucked in and timed very effectively because Mage is very dependent on having these spells earn them important tempo, whether it's Flame Strike, Frost Nova, or even like other things like a Frostbolt.
Yeah. They need it on time. And even delaying it by 1 turn is can be pretty devastating. Especially as a Druid. It seems like that 1 turn as a Druid is like all they need to just completely break open a game.
Something else in the back of Zalae's mind is probably like he knows Hype has flame strikes too. Like this, how long of a clock does he have until he might just have his board swept and he's going to be in big trouble.
Okay, that is
duplicate for sure.
yeah.
Okay, so does he just simply stall with a Frost Nova until Flame Strike?
Frost Nova, develop Ice Block.
He still doesn't kill off that Shade of Naxxramas. Also, with Alexstrasza in hand, damage to the face also feels slightly moot. Just because you might be using it offensively. Rarely is the case where you can use it defensively and
yeah,
and still survive against Druid, unless your opponent you have a completely clear board.
But otherwise, you'd be using the Fireball, which is burden that you could have for later on in the game, on a Harrison Jones, who's going to be a casualty for Flame Strike regardless. So
yeah. Well, this is where Lotheb, it's like you feel like you might have to Lotheb, but the timing of it's key. Now, interestingly enough, when you play Lotheb, Hype doesn't have a play next turn. He can't afford to play anything. The lowest cost card will be 8 at least. Maybe Hype can pick up something else that would be cheaper. At the same time, every other card is going to waste here. So Zalae has to make a very tough decision here, whether or not he drops Lotheb. Because if not, then it becomes completely wasted at that point. All of his spells costing an extra 5 there's no point.
yeah. You know what? It happened to me again. Exact same thing that happened yesterday. I thought Hyped was actually on a webcam.
Gotcha.
That's a still photo.
It is a still photo. I think that's just because we wanted to make sure that we could get Hyped in for the broadcast on time.
Why do they keep doing this to me, Dan? I just thought Hype was being very still and stoic.
Well, guess he can't play anything now. He will have to hero power.
Oh, that Spectral Knight at 1 health is just so annoying to deal with because he has to throw in the Sunfear Protector.
Right.
And, I mean, at this point, Flame Strike's just 100% telegraphed, but at the same time, he wants to try and salvage what more of that Sludge Belcher that he can. Does still have duplicates, so that's...
Oh, wow. How much damage does he have right now? 2 Savage Roars? So... The problem is the Sludge Belcher has 2 lives, so it does stall a lot of damage. The most I see he can do is...
19.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
11 plus...
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, 19. Jeez, that's crazy. Such a crazy amount of damage. So it's a Shade of Naxxramas. Do you use 1 Savage Roar?
I don't know how effective would 1 Savage Roar be, though.
Just to get in the damage as soon as you can.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking that Sludge Belcher would be even more problematic with just one just one Savage Roar, but it actually makes sense because you could use your hero power from this, or your own face from the Savage Roar to kill off the slime.
I'm actually okay with this. If
And
he
put
just
on-
drops Shade of Naxxramas and then Savage Roars.
Be 15 damage. That's a lot.
16, 18 damage. But the Molten Giants are going to be free, right?
Oh no, I meant 15 damage to his
Sorry,
face.
to his face. Yeah, I was saying 18 damage total, but
Yeah.
Well, now it's it's a free Molten Giant, and then
Sludge Belcher, Ice Block.
yeah, you do want to hero power down.
Well, you really want a Flame Strike, and that's where that Lotheb comes in. That was a huge deal.
Yeah.
Because this game would be completely different had Flame Strike been able to come out on that turn. And no matter what was in that slot there, I mean, I guess that would have been 7 mana. An Ancient of Lore could have been a little problematic because he wouldn't have been able to hero power it down.
Yeah,
But-
I'm guessing you do have to go for the ice block play. Unfortunately, even though Harrison Jones seems like he's easy to pick off, this is like the best course of action. Because if you do anything else, you might just die, and you're aware of that because you have 10 damage in Sludge Belchers alone. Oh no!
I wonder.
All right. Well, clearly there seems to be some problem with Skype, making sure that we get everything sorted out. As looks like there was definitely some technical issues. From that point on, it's like I said, the Druid pressures the Mage so well that it's really difficult to try and secure any kind of reasonable board presence.
You can't do multiple things at a time. You can't like clear the board and put a presence.
Yeah. Well, the game's over right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, looks like Hyped was. Well, with this big game, Hunter didn't look like he was going to be able to do much either way, but looks like game 2 will go to Zalae, and now we go into Handlock versus Zoo.
Okay. Well, Hyped, of course, we saw him earlier. He's going to be on that Zoo. Zalae on the Handlock. So this matchup is a little bit volatile, but as long as the Handlock can find a point of stabilization, get a wall down, it's really hard for Zulocks to be able to get through. You mentioned it, I think, yesterday, maybe even earlier today. They sort of blend together. A lot of Zulocks are starting to drop the silence, drop the Iron Beak Owl to fit in other things. And that makes it just really hard for them to get through a big wall of taunts. Anti-Keelbot shores up the matchup a little bit as well. So it can be really tough for the Zoo to break through, but there are opportunities.
Yeah, so going into game 3, Hype needs to win this one, otherwise he goes down 1-2. If Zalae wins this, he's in a pretty good position overall, because I feel like his lineup is decent going into the blind pick stage. Hype might just go with Rogue, and then Zalae might feel like he has an opportunity to go for whether it's Druid again, or even back to his Handlock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Hype though, I still think going into the blind pick phase, he would be in a pretty good spot because bringing out that the Rogue deck, I think, would have a pretty decent matchup against whatever Zalae could bring out. Handlock has always been traditionally a bad matchup for Rogue, but I think that with the sabotage in there and like BGH being teched in as well, I think that he can be able to get through that Handlock pretty easily as well. But it's going to be tough to tell.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anything. We've seen Zoo beat Handlock before, but for the most part, I think Handlock crushes Zoo very easily, unless they draw very poorly, and that definitely can happen.
Yeah.
For the most part, it feels very similar to how the Warrior relates to how it goes against Zoo.
Oh.
I'm not saying it's how the Warrior is.
Okay.
It feels like how it relates to Zoo, where like if you don't get the right hand, you end up dying.
My eyes lit up. I thought you were actually going to say it, but it didn't really make sense.
So your eyes light up. The golden Iron Beak eyes light up.